My pregnant wife turned against me, then I discovered the baby wasn't mine. Now I'm filing for divorce and she's begging me back. I never thought I'd be writing this, but I need to get this out before I lose my mind. I'm Ike, 34, and until 3 months ago, I thought I had my life figured out. Good career as an agricultural systems engineer, nice house in the suburbs, and a wife I thought I knew inside and out. Irene and I had been married for 6 years, together for 9. We met at a conference when she was starting out as a clinical trial coordinator and I was presenting on automated irrigation systems. When she told me she was pregnant 14 weeks ago, I was f***ing ecstatic. We'd been trying for 2 years. I literally picked her up and spun her around in our kitchen. I started planning everything, converting my home office to a nursery, researching the best car seats, even started a college fund that same week. I was ready to be a dad. But something shifted almost immediately after that positive test. Irene became different. Not in the typical pregnancy hormone way that everyone warns you about. This was calculated. Cold. First, it was small things. She'd make doctor's appointments without telling me, then act annoyed when I asked to come along. You don't need to be there for every little thing, Ike. You have work. This from the woman who used to text me photos of her lunch salads. Then came the financial demands. Not requests, demands. She wanted a bigger house, immediately. Not in 9 months, not after the baby came. Now. When I suggested we wait since our current place had 4 bedrooms, she lost it. Called me selfish, said I was already failing as a father. The woman who used to split grocery receipts down to the penny was suddenly acting like I was her personal bank account. The real red flag started about 8 weeks ago. Late nights at work became routine. Her phone, which used to sit face up on every surface, was suddenly glued to her hand. She'd take calls in the garage. In the F-King garage, in Nebraska winter. When I asked about it, she'd say it was trial confidentiality and I wouldn't understand the technical details anyway. That pissed me off. I designed systems that manage thousands of acres of crops with precision down to the square meter. I think I can understand a substance trial protocol. 3 weeks ago, she slipped. Mentioned she had to stay late for a client meeting about the phase 3 cardiology trial. Problem is, I'd learned enough about her work over the years to know her department only handles oncology trials. When I pointed this out, she went nuclear. Accused me of not trusting her, of being controlling, said pregnancy was hard enough without me interrogating her. But here's the thing about being an engineer, we're trained to see patterns and systems. And the system of my marriage was showing critical failures. I started documenting everything. Every late night, every mysterious charge on our joint credit card, every time her stories didn't add up. I used the same spreadsheet format I use for tracking soil moisture data. Date, time, claim, evidence, discrepancy. 2 weeks ago, I found a Venmo transaction on our joint account. $400 to someone named D. Reese with the note lunch splits. $400 for lunch splits. When I asked, she said it was for multiple lunches with trial coordinators she'd been training. Made sense, except pharmaceutical trial coordinators don't train in groups at restaurants that charge $400. Then I did something I'm not proud of. While she was in the shower, I checked her phone. I know her passcode, it's been the same since we met, her nephew's birthday. What I found destroyed me. Messages with someone saved as Donovan work. The conversations were mostly deleted, but there were enough fragments. Can't wait to see you tonight. Yesterday was incredible. And one that made my blood run cold. When are you going to tell him? I sat on this information for 3 days, trying to rationalize it. Maybe Donovan was just a colleague. Maybe the messages were out of context. Maybe I was being paranoid. Then Irene made a mistake. She was showing me nursery ideas on her phone when a text popped up. From Donovan. The preview showed before she could swipe it away, "The baby's going to have your eyes, I can already tell." I kept my face neutral. Agreed with whatever overpriced crib she was showing me. But inside, everything crystallized. The timeline made sense now. She got pregnant right around when the late nights started. When she became secretive. When she started treating me like a walking wallet instead of her husband. I made an appointment with my lawyer brother Malcolm the next day. He's in commercial real estate, but he knows people. Got me in touch with a family attorney who specializes in complex divorces. The attorney's first question, "Are you certain the child is yours?" I wasn't. Not anymore. Here's where being methodical pays off. Irene had a routine prenatal appointment last week. I insisted on coming, played the excited father. While she was getting her blood drawn for routine tests, I asked the technician about prenatal paternity testing. Turns out, you can do it with just the mother's blood after 9 weeks. Non-invasive, completely safe. I paid cash for the add-on test. Irene never knew. Got the results yesterday. 0% probability of paternity. The baby my wife is carrying isn't mine. I've spent the last 24 hours in a state I can only describe as crystallized rage. Not hot anger, cold, calculated, purposeful. She played me. Used me. Was prepared to let me raise another man's child while treating me like SHT. But she doesn't know I know. She's currently at her book club, checked with her supposed book club friend, they haven't met in 3 months. I'm sitting here, planning my next moves like I'm designing a system to irrigate a 1,000-acre farm. Every detail matters. Every contingency needs to be accounted for. Tomorrow, I'm moving my money. Not all of it, that would raise suspicions. Just enough to protect myself. I'm documenting everything. Every text, every transaction, every lie. My attorney says Nebraska's laws are clear on paternity fraud. I have grounds. Strong grounds. The woman I loved, the woman I was ready to build a family with, has been F-king someone else and trying to pass off his baby as mine. While demanding I buy her a bigger house. While treating me like I'm nothing more than a stability provider. She wants to play games? Fine. But she picked the wrong opponent. I solve complex problems for a living. And right now, she's a problem that needs solving. I'll update when I can. Right now, I need to keep playing the devoted husband for a little longer. Just until all my pieces are in place. Update 1, 5 days later. Jesus Christ, the last 5 days have been a masterclass in deception. Hers and mine. After my initial post, I took every piece of advice about protecting myself legally and financially. Opened a new bank account at a completely different bank. Moved 40% of my liquid savings, enough to protect myself but not enough to trigger suspicion. Changed my direct deposit to split between accounts. Documented every single asset, including my agricultural patents and the consulting contracts I have with 3 major farming corporations. But I needed more than financial protection. I needed the full truth. Through some careful social media searching, I found out who Donovan Reese really is. Private equity associate at Stanton Capital, the firm that partners with Irene's company for trial funding. 36, divorced, drives a Tesla that he posts about constantly. His LinkedIn shows he started working with Irene's company 8 months ago. The timeline fits perfectly. I reached out to Iris, a mutual friend who works in Irene's building but different department. Grabbed coffee with her, played the concerned husband. Irene's been so stressed lately, working these crazy hours. I'm worried about her and the baby. Iris's face told me everything before she even spoke. That look people get when they know something but don't want to get involved. After some gentle pressing, she admitted that everyone's noticed how close Irene and Donovan had gotten. Late dinners to discuss funding. Weekend strategy sessions. She even saw them leaving together from the parking garage multiple times when Irene had told me she was working alone. I figured you guys had an arrangement or something, Iris said. She didn't exactly hide it. An arrangement. My pregnant wife was so brazen about F-king another man that people assumed I knew and approved. I kept my composure, thanked Iris, went to my truck, and punched the steering wheel until my knuckles bled. Then I wrapped my hand, went back to work, and designed an irrigation system for a 500-acre potato farm. Channeled every bit of rage into calculating water flow rates and soil absorption coefficients. That night, Irene came home late again. Trial emergency, she said, barely looking at me as she kicked off her heels. I noticed things I'd been blind to before. Her hair was freshly styled. Who fixes their hair for a trial emergency? Her perfume was reapplied. And there was a small hickey just below her collar line that she'd tried to cover with makeup. How's the baby? I asked, playing my part. Fine. Kicking a lot today. She actually smiled, hand on her belly. Wanna feel? I put my hand on her stomach, felt movement, and wondered how she could stand there, carrying another man's child, asking me to bond with it. The audacity was almost impressive. We should really start looking at those bigger houses, she said. Donovan mentioned, my colleague mentioned there are some good properties in Westfield. Donovan mentioned. She didn't even catch her own slip. Sure, baby. Whatever you think is best. She looked surprised at my easy agreement but didn't question it. Why would she? She thought she had me completely handled. The next 3 days were performances worthy of an Oscar. I played the excited father-to-be perfectly. Went crib shopping with her. Discussed baby names. Even attended a birthing class where we practiced breathing exercises while I imagined using those same techniques to stay calm during what was coming. Meanwhile, I was building my case. Nebraska is an at-fault divorce state, and adultery matters here. My attorney connected me with a private investigator. Within 48 hours, I had photos of Irene entering Donovan's apartment at 11 p.m. on a night she claimed to be at the hospital managing a trial emergency. Photos of them kissing in his Tesla in the parking garage. Credit card records showing hotel charges that corresponded with her late work nights. The PI also pulled something interesting: Donovan's divorce records. His ex-wife divorced him for adultery 2 years ago. Serial cheater. Irene wasn't special, she was just current. Yesterday, I executed phase 2. Told Irene I was visiting a client's farm 3 hours away. Instead, I met with my attorney to review everything. The evidence was overwhelming. Paternity fraud, adultery, financial deception. She'd been moving small amounts from our joint account to a personal one for months. In Nebraska, this could affect alimony, asset division, everything. You have one of the strongest cases I've seen, my attorney said. The paternity fraud alone is damning. Judges don't look kindly on women who try to defraud men into raising children that aren't theirs. We filed the paperwork. It's ready to serve. But I'm not pulling the trigger yet. Because last night, something interesting happened. Irene's phone rang during dinner. Donovan. She declined it. It rang again. She declined again, looking nervous. Who keeps calling? I asked casually. Just work stuff. It can wait. Her phone buzzed with texts for the next 10 minutes. She was practically vibrating with anxiety, couldn't focus on conversation. Finally excused herself to the bathroom with her phone. I could hear her whispering furiously. Caught fragments, not now. He doesn't know anything. We agreed to wait. When she came back, she was rattled. Tried to play it off, but I knew my wife. She was scared. Everything okay? I asked. Fine. Just trial drama. Donovan, the funding team is being pushy about some deadlines. 2 Donovan slips in 1 week. She was cracking. Here's what I've learned. Irene is a planner. She had this all mapped out. Get pregnant by her exciting affair partner, pass the baby off as mine, keep the stability of our marriage and my income while probably continuing to F him on the side. Maybe divorce me in a few years and collect alimony and child support for a kid that isn't even mine. But Donovan's getting impatient. He wants her to leave me now. Doesn't want his child raised by another man. The texts she couldn't hide were him pressuring her to tell the truth and stop living a lie. Ironic. The affair partner has more integrity than my wife. Tomorrow is Saturday. Irene has her prenatal yoga class, verified with the studio. She's never been registered. She'll be gone for at least 3 hours. That's when I'm packing up everything that matters to me. Not leaving yet, just preparing. Every important document, every piece of evidence, everything I'd need if I had to leave quickly. Because Monday is the day. Monday, I confront her. But not with anger or tears or pleas. With cold, hard evidence. With divorce papers. With the paternity test that proves her betrayal. She thinks she's winning. She thinks she has me figured out, boring, stable e-care who'll raise any baby she puts in front of him while she lives her double life. She's about to learn what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. When you confuse stability with stupidity. I've designed systems that turn deserts into farmland. I've solved agricultural problems that fed thousands of people. Destroying the fantasy world my wife built? That's just another problem to solve. And I'm very, very good at solving problems. Update 2, 3 days later. Monday came. Monday went. And Irene's world is now ash. I need to document this while it's fresh, while I can still remember every detail of watching her facade crumble. Because it was King glorious. Sunday night, she was practically glowing. Talking about the baby, showing me Pinterest boards for nurseries, discussing whether we should go with a forest theme or ocean theme. I engaged with all of it, even suggested we could incorporate both. Why limit ourselves? This baby deserves everything. She actually teared up. You're going to be such a good father, e-care, I smiled. Kissed her forehead. Went to bed thinking about how that was the last time she'd ever feel secure in her deception. Monday morning, I called in sick to work. Told Irene I had a stomach bug, probably something I ate. She barely paid attention, just reminded me about her late meeting that night, sure, meeting, and left for work in the outfit she'd spent 30 minutes selecting. Tight dress, heels that showed off her legs. Very professional for someone who claims to spend all day in a lab. I spent the morning making final preparations. Backed up all evidence to 3 different cloud services. Arranged for a locksmith to come today, to change the locks. Called my brother Malcolm to give him a heads up. Set up a consultation with a counselor because despite my anger, I know I'm going to need help processing this SHT. At 3 p.m., I texted Irene, feeling better. Made dinner reservations at Russo's for 7. Want to celebrate the baby properly. Russo's is where we had our first date. She responded with heart emojis and can't wait. I arrived early, spoke with the manager, requested a private corner table. Placed an envelope on the table. Ordered a bottle of wine, just for me, since she couldn't drink. She arrived 15 minutes late, breathless, apologizing about traffic. Looked stunning, actually. The pregnancy glow everyone talks about, coupled with the excitement of thinking she was pulling off the perfect con. We ordered. Made small talk. She complained about Donovan being demanding about project timelines. I sympathized, said it must be hard working with difficult colleagues. The irony went right over her head. After the appetizers, I pulled out the envelope. I have something for you, I said. She looked curious, maybe expecting a gift. Jewelry, perhaps. Something for the baby. Open it. Inside were 3 things: the paternity test results, highlighted in yellow where it said probability of paternity, 0%. A photo of her entering Donovan's apartment. The divorce papers. I've seen people's faces change in movies when they realize they're caught. It's nothing compared to reality. She went white, then red, then white again. Her hands shook. She looked at the papers, at me, at the papers again. I can explain, she started. Don't. I kept my voice level, professional. Like I was explaining a new irrigation system to a client. I know about the affair. I know the baby isn't mine. I know about the money you've been moving. I know about the hotel rooms, the late night visits to his apartment, all of it. She tried denial first. These tests can be wrong. We should do another one. Sure. Let's do 10 more. They'll all say the same thing. You were F-king him before you got pregnant, during, and you're probably going to F him tonight after this dinner. Except you won't, because this ends now. Then came anger. Her voice rose. You had no right to test my baby without my permission. Your baby. Exactly. Not ours. Yours and Donovan's. The name drop was calculated. She flinched like I'd slapped her. How long have you known? Long enough to document everything. Long enough to protect my assets. Long enough to ensure you get exactly what you deserve in the divorce, nothing. She tried tears next. Sobbed about how complicated everything was, how she never meant for it to happen, how Donovan pursued her, how she was confused and hormonal. Confused for 8 months? Hormonal before you were even pregnant? That's impressive. Then came bargaining. This was the pathetic part. She grabbed my hands across the table. E-care, please. We can work through this. Couples therapy. We can fix this. The baby needs a father. The baby has a father. Donovan Reese. Private equity associate, drives a silver Tesla, divorced for adultery. Though I doubt he mentioned that last part to you. Her face when she realized I knew everything about him. That I'd done my homework. That she wasn't dealing with the ignorant husband she thought she'd married. You don't understand, she said, desperate now. Donovan doesn't want. He's not ready for a baby. It was supposed to be ours. You were supposed to be the father. I was supposed to be the fool, you mean. The stable paycheck who'd raise another man's kid while you continued F-king him on the side. I would have ended it. When? After the second kid that wasn't mine? The third? Or would you have just divorced me eventually and taken half of everything plus child support for a kid that isn't even mine? She went quiet then. Calculating. I could see her switching tactics in real time. If you divorce me now, pregnant and alone, you'll look like a monster. Everyone will take my side. Your reputation will be ruined. There it was. The threat. The real Irene finally showing herself. I laughed. Actually laughed. My reputation? I'm not the one who F-ket a colleague while married. I'm not the one who committed paternity fraud. I'm not the one whose employer is going to receive an anonymous tip about inappropriate relationships between trial coordinators and funding partners, potentially compromising trial integrity. Her eyes went wide. You wouldn't. That would ruin my career. Like you tried to ruin my life? Seems fair to me. E-care, Please. She was in full panic now. I'm pregnant. I'll lose my job. I'll lose everything. You'll lose everything you tried to steal from me. Fix that for you. I stood up, placed cash on the table for the appetizers and wine. The divorce papers are filed. You'll be served officially tomorrow. The locks will be changed by noon. Your belongings will be in the garage. You have 48 hours to collect them. Don't try to enter the house. Don't call me. All communication goes through my attorney. Care, wait. She stood too, belly visible under her dress. Please. I love you. It was a mistake. I'll do anything. People were staring now. The pregnant woman crying, begging. I looked like the villain to everyone watching. And I didn't give a single F. Anything? Sure. Sign the divorce papers. Admit to the adultery and paternity fraud in writing. Leave quietly. Don't fight for alimony or assets beyond what you brought into the marriage. Do all that, and I won't pursue charges for fraud or report your relationship to your employer. That's blackmail. That's negotiation. You have 24 hours to decide. I left her there, sobbing in Russo's, probably already texting Donovan to come save her. When I got home, I poured myself 3 fingers of whiskey and sat in what would have been the nursery. I'd already assembled the crib. Already painted the walls a soft green. Already imagined teaching my kid how to throw a baseball in the backyard, how to plant their first garden, how to be a good person. That's what she stole from me. Not just trust or money or time. She stole the future I thought I was building. My phone exploded all night. Her mother, her sister, mutual friends. I didn't answer any of them. Only responded to one text, from her. Where am I supposed to go? My response, ask Donovan. It's his baby. This morning, Tuesday, the locksmith came as scheduled. Her stuff is boxed in the garage. She tried to come by during lunch, found her key didn't work. Called me screaming about illegally evicting her. I reminded her she has 48 hours to collect her belongings and that everything is being done according to Nebraska law. You're a monster. She screamed. No, I'm an engineer. I solve problems efficiently. You were a problem. Now you're solved. She sent Donovan to get her things this afternoon. He tried to posture, get tough with me. I just smiled and showed him the security camera footage on my phone, him loading my pregnant wife's belongings into his Tesla. Congratulations on the baby, I said. Hope you're better at being a father than you were at being a husband to your ex-wife. He deflated and just loaded boxes quietly after that. Tonight, I'm alone in my house for the first time in 6 years. It's quiet. Peaceful, even. Tomorrow I meet with my attorney to discuss next steps. Thursday, I'm back at work, designing a new system for a vertical farming startup. Life goes on. Just without the lying, cheating woman who thought she could play me for a fool. She wanted a bigger house. Now she's got no house. She wanted me to be the father. Now I'm nobody to her. She wanted to have her cake and eat it too. Now she's got nothing but the consequences of her choices and a baby daddy who didn't even have the balls to face me properly. I'm not broken. I'm free. Update 3, 1 week later. The last week has been a masterclass in watching someone's life implode through their own desperation. Irene tried everything. And I mean everything. First came the love bombing. Flowers delivered to my work with cards saying I'm sorry and please come home, which was rich since I never left, she did. Emails with our wedding photos, screenshots of old texts from when we were happy. She even had a bakery deliver my favorite cake with I love you written in frosting. I gave it to my coworkers. They said it was delicious. When that didn't work, she escalated to threats. Said she'd tell everyone I was abusive. That I'd emotionally manipulated her into the affair. That I was the reason she sought comfort elsewhere. I responded through my lawyer with screenshots of her texts planning hookups with Donovan while I was at work, dated months before she claimed I became distant. Then came the SCD threats. This was Tuesday night. Texts saying she couldn't live without me, that she was going to hurt herself, that the baby would grow up without a mother and it would be my fault. I called 911 for a wellness check and forwarded the text to my lawyer. The police found her perfectly fine at Donovan's apartment, PSD that I'd called them. The threats stopped after that. But the best part, the absolute chef's kiss of karma, came Thursday. Donovan dumped her. I found out through Iris, who got the whole story from her coworker. Apparently, once Donovan realized he'd actually have to deal with a pregnant woman full-time, raise a baby, and handle all the responsibility I was supposed to shoulder, he bailed. Told Irene he wasn't ready for this level of commitment and that she should consider her options regarding the pregnancy. She showed up at his work, crying, begging. Security had to escort her out. She's now banned from the building where her affair partner works, the same building where she works. HR got involved. By Friday, she was on administrative leave pending an investigation into inappropriate relationships that could compromise trial integrity. Turns out, F. King, your funding partner's associate, is frowned upon in pharmaceutical research. Who knew? Her family initially supported her, naturally. Her mother called me every name in the book. Her sister said I was abandoning a pregnant woman and would burn in HL. Her father threatened to beat my ass for dishonoring his daughter. So I sent them the evidence. All of it. The paternity test. The photos. The credit card statements. The text messages where she explicitly discussed lying to me about the baby's father. Where she called me her meal ticket and said I was too boring to ever suspect anything. The call stopped. Her mother texted me one word, sorry. Yesterday, Monday, Irene's attorney reached out to mine. She's ready to settle. Agrees to all my terms. Admission of adultery in writing. No claim to alimony. No claim to assets acquired during marriage beyond her personal belongings. No claim to my agricultural patents or consulting contracts. Admission that I am not the biological father and have no financial obligations to the child. In exchange, I don't report her to her employer, too late, they already know, don't pursue fraud charges, and don't publicize the evidence further. My attorney laughed. She's got nothing to negotiate with. Take the deal just to end this quickly. So I did. She signed everything yesterday afternoon. Looked broken, defeated. Barely resembled the confident woman who'd walked into Russo's 2 weeks ago thinking she had me fooled. I really did love you, she said after signing, tears in her eyes. No, I replied. You loved what I represented. Stability. Security. Someone to take care of you while you had your fun. That's not love. That's exploitation. What am I supposed to do now? I'm 7 months pregnant. No job. No home. Donovan won't return my calls. That sounds like a you problem. Maybe call the baby's father. Oh wait. She burst into fresh tears. How can you be so cruel? Cruel? I was ready to raise another man's child while you lied to my face every single day. I was ready to love that baby, provide for it, be its father in every way that mattered. And you were going to let me, knowing it was all based on a lie. That's cruel. This is just consequences. Her hand went to her belly. The baby is innocent in all this. You're right. It is. And it deserves better than a mother who builds its life on lies. Maybe this will teach you to be honest with it, at least. As she left my lawyer's office, she turned back one more time. I'm keeping the baby. Good for you. Send Donovan my congratulations. He wants nothing to do with it. Then I guess you'll finally understand what it's like to be alone. To handle responsibility without someone else to carry you. Welcome to adulthood, Irene. Last night, I slept better than I have in months. No more checking her phone location. No more wondering if she's really where she says she is. No more feeling like something's off but not being able to pinpoint what. This morning, I woke up to texts from mutual friends who'd heard the news. Most were supportive once they knew the truth. A few said I should have tried to work it out for the baby. I blocked those few. Anyone who thinks I should raise another man's child while being treated like SHT isn't someone I need in my life. My brother Malcolm called to check in. How you holding up? Better than expected. Turns out, once you remove a cancer, healing happens pretty quickly. Work has been understanding. My boss, who went through something similar years ago, told me to take whatever time I need. But honestly, work is therapeutic. There's something about designing systems that actually function properly, that don't lie or cheat or betray, that's incredibly satisfying right now. I've started therapy. Not because I'm broken, but because I want to make sure I process this properly. Don't want to carry baggage into whatever comes next. The therapist said my response has been remarkably healthy considering the circumstances. Apparently, channeling anger into strategic action rather than destructive behavior is a good thing. Who knew? The house feels different now. Lighter. I've removed all traces of her, photos, clothes she left behind, even her F. King prenatal vitamins she left in the kitchen cabinet. Donated her pregnancy books to the library. Returned the baby stuff for store credit, which I used to buy a new set of golf clubs. Seemed fitting, trading in lies for something that actually brings me joy. Tomorrow marks 3 weeks since I found out the truth. 3 weeks since my world shifted. But here's the thing, it shifted for the better. Yes, I lost a wife. But she wasn't really my wife, was she? She was playing a role, and poorly at that. I lost the illusion of a family, but it was never real to begin with. What I gained was freedom. Self-respect. The knowledge that when pushed, I don't crumble, I strategize. I don't beg, I act. I don't accept disrespect, I demand better. Irene texted me one last time yesterday, a long rambling message about how she's struggling, how scared she is about raising a baby alone, how she never meant for things to end this way. I didn't respond. There's nothing left to say. She made her choices. Now she lives with them. As for me? I'm focusing on work, hitting the gym again, rage as a HL of a pre-workout, and reconnecting with friends I'd neglected while trying to save a marriage that was already dead. My lawyer says the divorce should be finalized within 60 days given her agreement to all terms. Then this chapter officially closes. But I'm not waiting 60 days to move forward. I'm already living my new life. A life where trust is earned, not given blindly. Where actions matter more than words. Where someone's character is revealed not in their promises but in their choices when they think no one's watching. Irene thought I wasn't watching. She was wrong. She thought I was weak. She was wrong. She thought she could destroy me. She was catastrophically wrong. I'm EKRF King Hayes. I turn deserts into farmland. I solve impossible agricultural equations. I survived being shot in the heart by the woman I loved and came out stronger. And I'm just getting started. Final update, 1 month later. This will be my last update. The divorce is final. The chapter is closed. But the epilogue? That's worth sharing. The divorce went through last week. Faster than expected because Irene didn't contest anything. Couldn't contest anything, really. When you sign admissions of adultery and paternity fraud, there's not much ground to stand on. But the real entertainment came from watching the dominoes fall over the past month. Irene's job? Gone. The investigation revealed she'd been using her position to share confidential trial information with Donovan in exchange for favorable funding terms. Turns out, when you're F-king someone with financial control over your projects, it raises ethical questions. She's now unemployable in pharmaceutical research. Her LinkedIn went from senior clinical trial coordinator to seeking new opportunities. Donovan? Also gone. Stanton Capital doesn't tolerate associates who compromise portfolio companies through personal relationships. Especially when said relationships lead to potential SEC investigations about insider information. He's moved back to his hometown in Ohio, presumably to figure out his next move. Without his Tesla, had to sell it to cover legal fees. The baby was born 2 weeks ago. Found out through social media before she blocked me. A boy. She named him River. Donovan wasn't at the birth. Her sister posted about being the best aunt and support system with lots of hashtags about strong women and single mothers. No mention of the father. Funny how that works. But here's where it gets interesting. Remember how I mentioned Irene was meticulous about finances during our marriage? Turns out, she was so good at it because she'd been squirreling money away for years. Not for us, for her. Found out during the forensic accounting that she had a separate savings account with almost $50,000. Money she'd been skimming from our joint accounts, claiming it was for groceries, household expenses, various other lies. My lawyer pushed for fraud charges. The threat alone made her agree to pay me back $30,000 as part of the settlement. That money? I donated half to a local charity that helps actual single mothers, women who didn't create their situation through deception. The other half went into a fund for my newest project. Which brings me to the good news. The last month hasn't just been about ending something, it's been about beginning something better. I met someone. Wasn't looking for it, definitely wasn't ready for it, but life has a way of surprising you. Her name is Brooke. Yes, I know I said no to certain names earlier, but sometimes the universe has a sense of humor. She's a geological engineer who works with agricultural companies on soil composition. We met at a conference where I was presenting on water table management. She knows my story. All of it. I told her on our third date, prepared for her to run. Instead, she said, "So you're saying you know how to spot red flags, handle adversity with strategy instead of emotion, and you're legally confirmed to have no baby mama drama? Sounds like a catch to me. Retry continue edit we're taking it slow. Very slow. But for the first time in years, I'm with someone who has her own career, her own goals, her own life. She doesn't need me to complete her, she wants me to complement her. The difference is everything." Meanwhile, Irene's new reality is setting in hard. She reached out to my sister-in-law last week. They used to be close, desperate for help. Living with her parents, can't afford daycare, can't get a job in her field, and Donovan has completely ghosted her. Even signed away his parental rights to avoid child support. Didn't even want to meet his son. My sister-in-law asked if I felt bad for her. I thought about it. Really considered if there was any sympathy left in me for the woman I once loved. There isn't. She had everything. A husband who adored her. A stable home. A future mapped out with someone who would have moved mountains for her. She threw it away for excitement, for passion, for a man who won't even claim his own child. That's not tragedy, that's consequence. The most surreal moment came last week. I ran into Irene's father at the hardware store. The man who'd threatened to beat my ass 6 weeks ago. He approached me, and I tensed, ready for confrontation. Instead, he apologized. "I didn't know," he said. "She told us you were controlling, distant, that you drove her to it. Then we saw the evidence. The texts where she called you those things. Where she planned it all out." His voice cracked. "I raised her better than this. I'm sorry, Iker. You deserved better." I shook his hand. Told him it wasn't his fault. He looked broken, aged 10 years and 2 months. His daughter's actions didn't just destroy our marriage, they destroyed her family's image of her. "How's the baby?" I asked. Not because I cared, but because it seemed polite. "He's healthy. Looks nothing like. Well, he looks like his father." The disgust in his voice was palpable. "She keeps asking us to help more, watch him so she can interview for jobs. But who's going to hire her? She's radioactive in pharmaceuticals now. She's smart. She'll figure something out." He laughed bitterly. She was smart. Smart people don't destroy their lives for someone who runs at the first sign of responsibility. That evening, I sat on my deck, watching the sun set over the cornfields behind my house. My house. Not ours anymore. Just mine. Brooke texted, asking if I wanted to grab dinner. I said yes. Simple. Easy. No checking if it conflicted with mysterious late meetings or sudden work emergencies. I've been reflecting on the whole situation, trying to find the lesson in it all. Here's what I've learned. When someone shows you who they are through their actions, believe them. Irene showed me she was selfish, deceptive, and cruel. I just refused to see it until it was undeniable. Trust is earned in drops and lost in buckets. She spent years earning my trust and destroyed it in seconds. There's no coming back from that. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. I don't hate Irene. I nothing her. She's just someone I used to know, a cautionary tale I'll tell if asked, but not someone who occupies any emotional real estate in my head. Strategic thinking beats emotional reaction every time. Every moment I spent planning instead of reacting put me in a stronger position. She expected tears, begging, maybe violence. She got calculated destruction of her house of cards. You can't save someone from themselves. Irene created her situation. She pursued the affair, got pregnant, tried to pass it off as mine. Every step was a choice she made. The results are hers to own. And finally, when one door closes, sometimes it's because it was never your door to begin with. I thought Irene was my future. Turns out, she was just a detour. An expensive, painful detour that taught me valuable lessons about trust, self-respect, and the importance of watching actions over words. The last text she sent me, 3 days ago, was simple: "I'm sorry for everything. You deserved better." I didn't respond. There was nothing to say that hadn't already been said through lawyers and legal documents. But she's right about one thing: I did deserve better, and now I have it. My freedom, my self-respect, my house, my career, and the knowledge that when life tried to break me, I didn't just survive, I thrived. Tomorrow, Brooke and I are driving to look at property for a new vertical farming project I'm consulting on. She's analyzing the soil composition while I design the irrigation system. Building something together, professionally for now, but with the potential for more. No lies, no deception, just two people contributing their expertise to create something functional. It's not the future I planned, but maybe that's the point. The future I planned was built on a lie. This one? This one's built on truth, hard-won and battle-tested. Irene's probably up right now, dealing with a crying baby that looks like the man who abandoned them both. Living with her parents, career destroyed, savings gone, raising a child alone. She got exactly what she created, a life built on deception that collapsed under the weight of truth. Me? I'm going to bed in my own house, waking up tomorrow to possibilities instead of suspicions, building something real with someone genuine. She thought she was trading up when she started F. King Donovan. Turns out, I'm the one who traded up, by losing her. This is Iker Hayes, signing off. The irrigation system is complete. The water flows where it's supposed to. The desert is becoming farmland. And I'm free. Edit, since a lot of you have asked, yes, this is real. Yes, I have the receipts. No, I'm not sharing them to protect everyone's privacy, and my lawyer's sanity. To the men going through something similar, document everything, lawyer up, and remember that the best revenge is a life well lived. To the women saying I was too harsh, imagine raising and loving a child for years only to discover it's not yours and your partner knew all along. Then we'll talk about harsh. To those asking about Brooke, we're good. Taking it slow but steady. She read this post, actually. Said it was agricultural poetry, methodical, efficient, and yielding results. She's a keeper. And to anyone who thinks I should feel bad for Irene or help with the baby, that child has a mother and a father. Neither of them is me. My only obligation was to remove myself from their equation, and I did that with mathematical precision. Living well isn't the best revenge. Living authentically is. Peace out. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.